Hey YouTube, how you doing? I wanted to bring you another Emerson knife review, and as a way of introduction, let's take a look at the description in the Emerson custom catalog. So today we'll be looking at the CF7 Trivector, developed strictly as a tactical assault weapon system as defined by UDT SEAL and Advanced Combat Control Operations requirements. Overall length of 11.5 inches, blade length 6 inches, thickness, which is interesting, thickness is 0.190 inches. Most of the Emerson knives have a thickness of 0.125 inches, so this is actually thicker than most of the knives. So here it is. This is the one that I'll be reviewing, and it's actually interesting because this one has an exposed tail cap, an exposed skull crusher, much like the one in the custom catalog. Whereas most of the Trivectors that were made did not have this. I think there's only 2 or 3 that have this. So this is a pretty early example. And this one also has the Halfmoon logo. Let me see. It's kind of difficult with this light to catch it. But if I my flashlight, yeah, you can see it right there. So this marks it for the mid-90s. I think this is I think some people say this is around like a 94, 95, 96 era knife. So this is designed as a fighting knife. Primarily, there's no real utility purpose for it. And well, let's start looking at the handle. So it has a 2+2 finger design. So you have your index finger and your middle finger here, and you have your 4th and 5th fingers in here. And it's very, very comfortable. The jimping up here is extremely sharp, and was probably designed. The blade was probably designed to be held and used by people wearing gloves, like tactical gloves. Which, if that's the case, then this jimping is probably perfect. And so it has this large finger guard to keep your hand from sliding forward. That would be pretty bad. And the blade, the handle is pretty large, so you can see I can get a 4, 5, 6 finger grip on this thing. But again, it's probably designed to be used with gloves, so that extra real estate will be taken up by your glove material. So that's nice. This was designed specifically, again, for tactical assault teams. And this skull crusher is an interesting feature. It's pretty sharp. To the extent that if you use if you use a reverse grip on it, I would want to do it like this, as opposed to putting my thumb on top like this. If you really stabbed into something, I don't know, you could break your finger or cut it or something. It would be uncomfortable, to say the least. So the overall length, like I said before, is about 11.5 inches. To give you a perspective, I have a Spyderco Endura here. So the blade is really only going to be just about 2 inches longer. Let me see if I can get a better perspective on that for you. So you can see here's the tip. The blade's, like I said, maybe 2.5 inches long. I'm not even sure how long the Endura blade is, but I think it's just shy of 4 inches, if I'm not mistaken. And the handle is actually not that dissimilar from each other, although this dimension is a little thicker, so it makes the handle feel a little bit bigger than it actually is, probably. So there's that. There's a general idea of how large it is. But let's take a look at. Oh, you know what? While it's out, let's do a comparison of the blade stocks. That's probably better. You can see the blade stock on the Trivector is probably twice that of the Endura. But yeah, it's not designed as a slicer, it's designed to stab. So it needs to have a strong tip out here at the edge, which indeed it does. You can see there it is there's just a lot of metal out there at the tip. So when it penetrates, it's going to be a strong tip. And you can see there's a lot of metal in this flat portion. So the grind is very steep, making the edge very strong. Again, also important when you're kind of using this as a tactical tool. And it's not, so I would expect this to be very blade heavy. It is indeed heavier out on the blade than it is the handle, but it's not so much heavier. The balance point is actually right on the finger choil, so it's not too bad. It's just in front. It would be like right about here. So it's not really as bad as I expect it to be with a blade so long and so thick. So yeah, but oh, you know what I hadn't mentioned was these interesting handles. So back in the 90s, Ernest had a jig, and he would hand file his micarta handles, or he did on some. And here we can see some of that hand filing, hand checkering, and the handle is actually scalloped, so it kind of goes in the front and the back on both sides. Honestly, I'm not really sure what that's for. Maybe it's just for better grip. I don't know. It certainly looks cool, that's for sure. But I can't really pinpoint the exact the exact reason for it. So it's kind of difficult for me to kind of really review this knife, because it's not like I can just go around using this the way it was designed to be used. But as far as how I can imagine it being used, or I imagine its intended purpose, I think it would perform very well. It's got a nice heft to it. It's quite heavy, which means it would probably be a formidable chopper or stabber, because you have a lot of momentum in that particular way. Chisel ground, obviously, because lots of Emersons are chisel ground, especially from the early days. You can see my camera and the reflection. And just this wicked zero ground edge. Extremely strong, extremely sharp, and just a menacing cutter. I'm trying to think. I was going to mention something else, but it escapes me right now. It's interesting is because if we look at a lot of these knives kind of look similar. So we have the Phaser and the Vindicator and the Trivector. There's only slight differences, which is interesting to me because maybe from a knife maker standpoint, the Bodyguard, you may not. It may be difficult as a knife maker to really see how these are different, or have a desire to design these knives. What I'm trying to get at is I bet that all these knives were designed specifically by certain people to meet their personal criteria. That's what I'm trying to say. Is I think these knives were designed back in the day when SEALs would just drive up to his house, and they designed things like the CQC-6. They designed the Super Commander, which was originally called the ES-1M. So I'm guessing that these knives were designed specifically by individuals to meet their personal criteria, and then Ernie just decided to make these into knives. But that's completely conjecture. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, so that's just a little look at the Trivector. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them. I'm always interested in hearing what you have to say. If you want to see any more specifics about this knife, you can let me know. I have some other knives I can compare it to if you'd like. But I guess that's about it. As always, be dressed to play and geared to slaughter. See ya, YouTube.